This media content is brought to you by Right Dream Productions. There are various historical accounts explored by the likes of notable historian and Prime Minister Dr. Eric Williams of Trinidadian of First Nation chiefs known as caciques and their war chiefs engaging in battles against Spanish colonizers. Popular Taino cacique Hatue and the more popular Nepuyo cacique Hiarima, who followed years later, after whom the royal borough of Ahirima is named, frequently challenged the European invaders who used Roman Catholicism to convert the captured and enslaved Taino peoples. Renowned historian Carlton Otley, in his 1970 publication The Story of Port of Spain, From the Earliest Times to the Present Day, provides historical insights into an important yet unique event in the history of Trinidad. Otley states that Don Antonio Sedano reported to the King of Spain of an account involving a fierce type of insurgency operation mounted by a conglomerated Amerindian fighting force which combined the skill and tactics of different tribes. At 4 a.m. on September the 13th, 1533, in a part of Port of Spain, which the First Nations people called Mucurapo, Sedano reported that the group of fighters descended from the hills with loud war chants in large numbers. They killed many Spanish soldiers, and Sedano and the other survivors barely managed to escape. Sedano did return, but this battle, according to Otley, along with Sedano's lack of provisions, forced him to leave the island in 1534, which resulted in many Amerindian feasts and celebrations to honor the event. The United Amerindian fighters managed to drive the occupying Europeans from their lands. Of course, this was short-lived, as the Spanish eventually returned. The Mucurapo lands would some 457 years later provide the basis upon which another tribe, led by a different type of cacique and war chiefs, would eventually take on what they perceived to be a larger enemy. This is the battle for Mucurapo.
The Prime Minister and members of the Cabinet are under arrest. The Prime Minister and members of the Cabinet are under arrest. The Prime Minister and members of the Cabinet are under arrest.
Large aspects of the narrative contained within this episode have been derived from the testimonies of witnesses and the conclusions of the Commission of Inquiry into the attempted coup in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago on Friday, the 27th of July, 1990.